Hey guys, Surface Geeks here. We are live. You should see us in the chat room, guys. I do need to change to SG Dave. Is that better? Hey, tell me if you can see me on the left-hand side video. Make sure you can see us, hear us. Broadcasting live for you. YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join us over at surfacegeeks.net/live. Talk right back to us. And let me see. let me get a text out real quick. Hang on. Okay. Sorry. The boss was texting. And Brian, you are playing the video. On the website, you'll want to stop that YouTube broadcast.
Okay, got it. Got it.
That way it doesn't feed back to you.
Got it.
Final Freak says video. Rob, you got video? 40 seconds in. Okay, looks like we're good.
Good.
Yoda's there. Hey, I see a lot of guys. I see a lot of my home server show guys because this is kind of stepping into the home server show. But I can tell you this, guys, in the chat room, probably for the rest of the summer at least, I'm going to go every other. So, like, we'll have Surface Geeks this week. We would have a home server show next week. You guys know the drill. Except, my wife and I just scheduled another last minute vacation. So we're going to go to Gettysburg next week. So there'll be no podcasts next week while I totally geek out on Civil War battlefields. That's really cool to me. So all right. Here we go. Let me trying to multitask here. All right, 720p, very good. All right, so we'll, Brian, I'm gonna start recording, and I'm gonna gather a little bit of white space.
Great.
And that allows me to filter that later. This is
Great.
Brian's first podcast, guys. Take it easy on him, okay?
Thanks, Dave.
All right, here we go. This is a Surface Geeks podcast, episode number 72, recorded on July 23rd, 2014. Look out, I've returned my Surface Pro 3. Don't throw anything at me. Hey guys, it's Dave back here on Surface Geeks. Episode number 72. Glad to be back with you. It feels like I haven't been behind the podcasting mic doing Surface Geeks in such a long time. But you can join us here live every other week. I think we're going to go every other week with Surface Geeks, at least in the summer, until I catch up with life and everything going on. And right here, surfacegeeks.net/live. You can follow on Twitter at Surface Geeks. So I am fortunate enough to have another MVP, Surface MVP, chatting with me tonight. Brian Friedlander. How you doing tonight, Brian?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Dave?
Good. Now, you guys may recognize this guy. He's on Twitter. He's Assistive Tech. So I would say every Tuesday at about anywhere from noon to 2 p.m., Brian would be like, okay, what's on the show tonight?
You got it.
And we would have a little fun with Brian sometimes. And he's been a great fan of the show and always there when we need him. And Brian, you actually won one of the giveaways we did. When did we do that? It's like 6 months ago. Maybe it was.
I won I won the dock for the Surface Pro 2, which was great. It was really great.
Yeah,
it
was one of those things where I don't think it could have gone to a more perfect person.
It's been, I mean, the dock's been great. As a matter of fact, I mean, I purchased a Surface Pro 3 and I pre-ordered my dock already because, I mean, it just, when I'm using it as a tablet on the go, I put it in my briefcase, and then when I'm home, I have it plugged in. I have an Evernote scanner, I have a Brother laser printer, and a Dymo address labeler, and as well as a monitor. It just, it's been working great for me.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I loved the Pro 2 dock, and I assumed that the Pro 3 dock I would love just as well. But we might as well get into it because I dropped a pretty big bombshell on everybody today, and I think some people are a little thrown off, and some people just instantly understood. They're like, "Yep, I completely gotcha." But the thing is I wrote a little article today saying I returned my Surface Pro 3. And the reason I did so, I need to get back to Surface Pro 2. I used to use a Surface Pro 2. In fact, it used to sit right here. And to make me feel better, I've got my Surface 2. You can see that's Surface 2 on video. So that's how I monitor Twitter. I like monitoring Twitter on my little screen. But I used the Surface Pro 2, Brian. I docked it,
right,
and I had USB plugged in everywhere, my microphone, my cameras, everything. I did everything with it. And when I was done podcasting, I pulled it out of the dock, snapped in a backlit keyboard, and went downstairs. And I didn't come back up here usually until the next podcast, until next week. That was the power of the Pro 2 for me.
Right.
Now, I also have... when I need super heavy lifting, I have a server. I had another PC. I've got a Mac. I don't use the Mac for heavy lifting. Some video chores here and there. But the Pro 2 pretty much filled in everything I needed. I pumped video out to two 27-inch screens in front of me. It just did it all. I was so super happy with it. Pro 3 comes out. And, what do you expect? You expect... Pro 3, it's going to be better for me. I'll try to keep the audio on me. Brian, you didn't tell anybody that you were doing a podcast, did you?
No, I did not.
You're supposed to warn the rest of the family and the dog.
They are so warned right now.
He's going to be throwing books here in a minute, guys. So... I expected Surface Pro 3 to just to be better, right? It's a new iteration. It's newer. It's thinner. It's got a core processor. It's better, right? That's what you assume. Well, it is better.
You would.
In many aspects. I mean, absolutely is better in many aspects. And I had I had a review unit for a long time, and then I purchased one, and I had it for at least 30 days. But I made one fatal mistake, in that I didn't pull Surface Pro 2 out of its comfy confines in the dock and put Surface Pro 3 in its place and do a podcast. I didn't do it. I just, I used it around the house and everywhere, and it did light work for me. It didn't do that hard, heavy duty, I'm a truck kind of work like Surface Pro 2 did. And that is doing this live podcast. I take in a lot of video, and we push it out. We record the audio. It does a lot of different things, which I need a desktop for. I need a desktop for heavy lifting and to pull this podcast off. Surface Pro 2 did that for me. Surface Pro 3 has certain thermal properties of it. It's so thin that when that CPU ramps up and gives you all that Core i5 power, it gets hot. It gets really hot. So when it gets to a certain temperature, the firmware in that machine reduces the multiplier, the CPU multiplier, in which determines the speed of the CPU.
So it shifts down.
But your software, everything you're doing is still saying, I need power. I need CPU. Give it to me. Well, what ends up happening is you start getting bumps in audio, you start getting bumps in video, stutters, all kinds of weird things happening. And I I feel like a fool. I didn't test that when I should have tested that. But in my story, I said I I still recommend it. I still love the thing. I mean, Brian, I have been lost. I returned it on Sunday. I have been
Right.
lost without it because
Mhm.
it is just my go-to machine. I've more been lost because I usually take it downstairs
Right.
and I don't have to run up and down to the office to podcast HQ, sit down in a chair and be behind all the monitors and lights and the cameras to do stuff.
Right.
I have that Surface Pro 3 and man, I love that thing. I love that thing. Oh, and I don't have
Went to sleep.
I put RT in place on the Twitter wall, and I've got Surface RT that runs Twitter wall. I've got Surface 2 that I use.
While you're monitoring.
So I've tried to put the Surface Pro 2 the Surface 2, which is the ARM processor. It's RT. It'll do some of the stuff that I needed to do, not all of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I still have that need for some type of light duty laptop action. But I wasn't ready to part with $1,500 as my light duty machine. I just
Right.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I felt wrong about it. I felt wrong. And I had a certain bit of relief when I returned it.
Mm-hmm.
I was relieved. And then when I finally told my story today and I told you guys about it and I posted about it and I just kind of drop your pants. As a Surface MVP, you say, "Yeah, I kind of returned it. I don't like it." It's not that I
Well, it's
don't
not that
like it.
you didn't like it. It's just that it didn't serve your needs. I mean, really.
It didn't serve my needs. I felt bad, but
Yeah.
there was just this weight that just fell off my shoulders. And a couple of people said, "Dave, appreciate you being honest. Thank you for being honest." So I have to kind of change my review that I still recommend it. But I was trying to shove a square peg into a round hole.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work.
It's got to be the right. Yeah.
Yeah, that
be the
was
right
my
tool for the
fault.
right job, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, if anybody has questions about that process that I went through or anything like that, and other people are having the same problems, and mostly gamers, which I'm not a gamer. So, I mean, I do game, Titanfall and Halo and small stuff, but I don't just beat it up. So,
yeah, and I'm not a gamer either, so I'm doing not doing anything as processor intensive as you are. So for me, it's worked out really well.
So the perfect question came up in chat. Dave, you had the i5. What about the i7? Well, think about it. It's a Core i7 processor. That thing is going to have a different thermal profile, obviously. My only assumption is that thermal profile is it's going to give you power. It will give you power. It will ramp, but it's also going to be throttled in a way. I assume that you're going to get there faster. The i7 is going to give you everything it's got, and it's going to produce heat, and it's going to be throttled back even quicker.
Right.
I would love an i7. Trust me, I would love an i7. And I want you guys to know that I was all in. I mean, I had my Surface Pro 2, right? When I got Surface Pro 2, I put my desktop, I have a Core i7 desktop, I moved it to a server role. It is now Server 2012, and it's running virtual machines for my house. And then my old server was a Core i3. I moved it upstairs as just like it's a PC. So it just, if I need it, I have a PC, and I put some games on it. So I've got a gaming rig. It's Core i3, but it's still games.
Mm-hmm.
I sold my Surface Pro 2. I sold it. And if you ask me now, if you could do it again, I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't. It would still be sitting in front of here. That is how much that machine is like this. It's like this brute. You know it. It's huge. At 11 inches, it's big. It's thick. It's heavy.
Chunky. Yes.
Gets the job done. It's like a man's tablet, right? Surface Pro 3 is the refined Surface tablet. It's a great tablet. But if I had my Surface Pro 2 back, I'd be a happy camper. I'd be podcasting on it right now. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone through Windows 8 in the last month. How many times I've redone it and redone it and redone it. Crazy. So I just want everyone to know in podcast land listening, I'm still a Surface fan. I still love my 2. I love the Pro 2. I love the Pro 3. Don't get me wrong. I have a feeling I will own one again. And honestly, very good timing today. AnandTech came out with their i3 review. I wish I would have gotten an i3 to review. The i3 beat the i5 in certain aspects of its testing because of this thermal cap, this thermal sealing that I called it in my review. And Anand, he states it in the review. He's like, this thing has a thermal cap. It has a thermal sealing. And it does hit it. And when you hit it, it throttles back. And that you cannot change in power options. You cannot change that with a registry entry. This is the machine saying, I am hot. I'm going to cool myself down. So, I am open for discussion. If anybody, Surface team, whoever, wants to get in touch with me, I'd love to talk about it. And I'm not mentioning the Wi-Fi thing. There is Wi-Fi thing. I wrote about it in the article. I still think there's something funny going on with Microsoft and the Surface Pro 3 on the Wi-Fi. Even though there is a fix, there's a sort of a fix to take the Wi-Fi adapter out of a sleep enabled state. So when you close the lid, close it up, it won't sleep that Wi-Fi adapter. I don't know what that does to battery. I don't know if that's going to be the official fix, but I assume that Microsoft will iron this out. The Wi-Fi thing will be fixed, and I know you've had two firmware
updates. Firmware updates,
yeah,
yes.
That kind of stinks. But and I'm also, who's to say that I didn't have a machine that had just a little bit something wrong with it? Maybe the guy on the assembly line slapping on the thermal paste, maybe he missed, some. Maybe my machine.
It's possible.
Yeah, maybe my machine was different. I don't know. There could have been something physically wrong with the machine that I got. So I'm just telling you. It's still a good read. I would go read my article. It's on surfacegeeks.net. Even better, it's in the forums. You can read about that. You can comment. You can add your 10 cents, your 2 cents, your $10. Please get in those forums. Comment about the situation.
But Dave, you just wonder what's going to happen, when Photoshop and those kinds of applications come to the Surface Pro 3. What impact that thermal issue is going to play in, unless unless Adobe understands that and programs for that in some way.
Well, think about it though. This stuff, it's like oversubscribing internet use, right? You've got a pipe, and you can get thousands of people to use that pipe all at
Mhm.
because you oversubscribe, and CPU does that as well, because when you use your, I don't know, Adobe Premiere or whatever,
Right.
it's quick hits, right? I need CPU, bam. I need CPU,
Right.
bam. So that's what you're going to see a lot of the time. You're going to have this, the machine is going to be fine for those that do those types of quick on off heavy lifting.
Mhm.
It's when you take, let's say you're going to render a 1080p video down to 720p and a mobile version. You hit the start button, it's going to ramp up, hit the ceiling,
Mhm.
and then come back down. You're not
Right.
going to get the same performance you would out of an i5 or an i7 that has a water cooler on it, or that's in a desktop
Right.
machine.
Correct.
But honestly, I mean, who buying a Surface Pro 3 is expecting that? Probably not a lot of people, except me, right? I expected it.
You did.
So I'm
But
trying to point as much
right.
finger at me as I am the Surface Pro 3. I don't know if you're getting that, but that's kind of how I feel.
Right. You have the right tool for the right job, right? I mean, that's the
All right, tool for the
name of the
right
game.
job.
Yep.
Um, Someone in chat actually asked for uh, the OnePlus review. There's a phone I got. It's called a OnePlus. It's an Android phone. 98% of you folks will not be interested, but I will be reviewing that next on Home Server Show. So just hang in there. I think we're going to do it live over at homeservershow.com. Um, I didn't bring you here to talk about myself, Brian.
Okay. That's fine.
But,
I'm here.
but you know what? I'm good at it. I'm
You
good about
are.
talking, just chatting. But actually, I'm honored to have a Surface MVP. You're the first non-McCabe Surface MVP to be on the podcast, and that thrills
Uh,
me.
that makes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
And so I'd like to just maybe touch a little bit on, some folks ask, how did you get, you don't have a podcast, you don't have a blog. Well, you don't have to have a podcast or a blog in order to get an MVP. You have to be somewhat of a pillar of your community, right?
Correct.
So tell us what you do and kind of
Okay.
wrap
Sure.
Surface into that.
Okay, so I mean, I've been involved in the field of special education and computer technology for over 30 years, and I do a lot of work in my home, my home state of New Jersey, doing a lot of consulting, working with kids with disabilities, and I use a range of tools. But when the Surface came out, it really kind of piqued my curiosity because I do work with a lot of kids with physical disabilities, and
Keep
the
talking. I'm going to be right back. Keep talking.
okay, the Surface Pro and the Pro 2 offered me not only the ability to use apps, but to run full-fledged applications that are more specialized for kids with special needs, whether it be kids with reading disabilities or motor disabilities. And so it made a lot of sense for me to have a portable Windows tablet or computer with a keyboard when I work with students. I do a lot of traveling to schools, working with students, doing evaluations, and so having the ability to have a full-fledged Windows tablet with a really nice keyboard was something that was really important for me in the work that I do. And I also am involved. I do have a blog. It's not devoted to the Surface, but I've been blogging for about 10 years on all kinds of educational and technology and special education. And I guess David asked how did I get nominated, and honestly I don't know. I can only speculate. But I am very involved in the field, and people know of the work that I do. And so it was really exciting to get that email to say, hey, you became a Surface MVP. I've also done I do workshops locally in my the public library on using Windows 8 and the Surface. Also, I've done a number of workshops in the Microsoft Store, which is a great venue for anyone that's interested. It's a great space to do any kind of workshop using the Surface or any of Microsoft's technologies. And I guess imagine too, I had asked them, can I do something using Microsoft Word on the iPad? And they said, sure, go for it. So I mean, it's just a really nice space where you can invite either clients, colleagues, and show off and share what you're doing with any of the Microsoft products.
Yeah, that is something that's cool about the Microsoft stores. I know a lot of MVPs that do volunteer their time for kind of training, and they have great facilities for that, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and the day I did it was like Small Business Week, and they brought in breakfast and drinks and gave away coffee mugs. I mean, it was a nice time to spend with some of my colleagues, sharing with them about the Surface and also just Windows 8.1.
Absolutely. Sorry for stepping out on you.
No problem.
I had my home alarm was triggered.
Hey,
Like,
okay.
yikes! I gotta go check that. I'm glad you kept it up. So maybe if I need you in the future, I'll be a
I could I could continue.
Brian, keep talking.
I said someone had actually
someone
had tweeted, and one of the reasons why I wanted to move from the Pro 2 to the Surface Pro 3 was the writing experience. I've been using OneNote more. And also, now that I got it's a terabyte of space on OneDrive, it's just pretty amazing. I have an Office 365 account through the college, but which I paid for. So I mean, it's really changed my workflow as well. I mean, oftentimes because I'm working with students, I get a lot of the called IEPs, or these are the get large PDF files, and now I store a lot of those on OneDrive and store most of my information that I need, so I have access to it when I go back and work with a student. It's great to be able to call it up, use it. So it's worked out real well for me, and having that much space is pretty incredible. I mean, and now I guess everyone who has a OneDrive account or Office 365 University has that much space, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and in fact, you get an account with your MSDN if you didn't know that. And
that's true too. Yeah. Right. But as good as the writing experience was with the Pro 2, and again, I'm not a graphics artist. I'm just writing. The pen and the with OneNote is really a fantastic writing experience. I do a lot of stuff with the iPad as well, and I just haven't found anything to be as good as what Microsoft has put together, as far as even in the Pro 2 and moving to the 3. I mean, and now with you click the tab on the pen, and it opens up OneNote even from when it's asleep, and you can get a clean page. Is a really nice feature. So it's a really nice experience writing. And again, then even the palm rejection, it never ceases to amaze me. How I know they've tried to do that on the iPad, but they haven't quite gotten it right. But with the Surface Pro 3 and the 2, it's just a great writing experience.
I found that as well. I really enjoyed using it and testing the pen on Surface Pro 3.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, and that's another thing. Maybe I'm not the perfect candidate for Surface Pro 3 is I don't use that pen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I play with it during the podcasts, and that's it. And I found that the Pro 3 pen, I can't, because every time I'd hit the button,
you get another
something
page,
actually happens.
Right.
I had to put it back in the box.
Yeah, it's actually interesting though. There's a lot of research that really points to how we process information, that from a standpoint of long-term retrieval, it's actually better to write our notes down than it is to type, and there's been a number of studies that have recently sort of confirmed that. So there is something to the writing process that sort of maybe imprints the brain differently in terms of the way the information is coming in. They just recently did a study actually at Princeton University with college students and found that those students that wrote the notes versus typed actually did better in terms of long-term retrieval of information. So it's a really interesting fact, and so there's some credence to the importance of, I guess, still being able to write and take written notes as opposed to typing notes.
I can totally see that, but I went to college and, forever ago, and that was not even a choice for us, but I can totally see that. And, some folks, they just says, well, I'll just read the book, or I'll just read the chapter. I got
Right.
writing stuff down. It's like,
Yeah.
that's the only way
Well,
it gets into my brain.
yeah, I mean, that's the kind of the multiple pathways that make a real difference in terms of being able to remember the information. So that's really key. And so I think also the fact that you now have also multiple multiple positions with the stand makes it also a little bit easier sometimes, where you can almost lean on it when you're taking notes. Has made a difference as well. And there's some shortcuts too with you actually use the eraser, and you can sort of copy areas and circle them. So I mean the pen is definitely a more integral part of it. I do wish that they did somehow integrate it somehow into the body. I mean, now it's got that little attachment, that little loop that I have attached to my keyboard. At least I won't lose it. But I do wish it was better integrated somehow into the body of the device in some way. So it's not a extra piece. But I mean, it is a wonderful, very smooth writing experience. If you're using, the OneNote, not the 2013, but the desktop version, I mean, the control panel is really a very nice experience in terms of moving from, inserting text or writing and changing the color or the width of the stroke. It's a really nice experience.
Now, you personally have the Surface Pro 3. Have you been able to integrate any type of RT devices like the Surface 2 or anything like that, into your professional
I mean,
life?
I take the I've when I had my Surface Pro 2 and now I have the 3, I evaluate students' needs for the technology, and so I bring I mean, I've recently worked with a student who had cerebral palsy, and so I would bring my Surface Pro 3. Was working with him actually in the library, and just to and it gives me the ability to run full Windows applications in a very portable device. I actually work with a high school student with cerebral palsy, and one of the tools that we use with a lot of students who have who have physical disabilities, we use word prediction. And most of us now are familiar with word prediction, but it really was a technology developed about 20, 25 years ago to help reduce keystrokes for students with disabilities. And now,
Okay.
it's kind of a consumer sort of a consumer feature. But he was using an old laptop computer. I recommended a Surface Pro 2, which the school bought for him, and we used a piece of software called CoWriter, which has really tremendous algorithms for kids that even spell very phonetically. And it was just so exciting to see in this basically lightweight tablet, and he was using also the keyboard. He was able to open up Microsoft Word and type and sentences like everyone else, but so much more quickly. And it was just exciting to see him get so excited to be able to be as productive as he could be with this device, which really couldn't. I mean, I could have done it with a laptop, but this youngster is in a power wheelchair. He's got he has an assistant. He's got backpacks. He's got books, and so for him to be able to have the power in this small little package is pretty amazing. And I guess being in the field so long, I mean, the stuff that I've been through in terms of keyboards, the size of small desks and serial interfaces, it's just amazing the power we can package in these small devices, and help kids with a wide range of abilities and disabilities. It's pretty amazing. It really is. We've come a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there's a good outlook for Surface, just Surface in general in the
I think,
education
yeah,
industry?
it's yeah, I mean, I follow. I mean, I read a lot of blogs and I follow announcements, and I see that there are a lot of, I see a lot of schools, some, not a lot of schools, but you get the big announcements that, the Cincinnati, prep school purchased, 1,000 Surface Pro 3s. And I think you will find isolates. I know in New Jersey, I really, at this point in time, I really haven't found too many school districts that are going with the Surface, for the reason primarily because of money. There's a big trend nationally, and you're probably well aware of Chromebooks because of the price point, and also what's happening too is school districts are have to now supply students with basically a device so they can take their standardized achievement tests at the end of the year on electronically, of which the Chromebook meets that criteria. So schools are looking at spending what $199 to $225. So the price point is really something that puts the Surface at a disadvantage, even though it's a much more premium product. And I think that's what's happening. And I would see most schools would probably shy away from the RT because they would want the power to be able
I
to
was going to
install.
ask you that. I was like, come on, do you think that RT has, any leg into that argument?
I don't think so. I think most
Even
schools and IT people would want to have that flexibility to install, other software on there. That's my feeling. I mean,
But even the Chromebook, you can't, you can't like put a program on it.
I know, but I mean, those schools, have bought into the whole Google environment and Google Apps, and so for them, it meets their needs. I mean, they're still going to have some Macs and Windows, labs probably around, but right now they're really looking at it primarily as a just an inexpensive way for students to take some of the tests that they need to, or even one-to-one initiatives. And the other part too is I think a lot of IT people do like the Chromebooks because they're easy to manage, much easier than
Easier to manage
iPads,
and
and
easier to
very
wipe.
easy to manage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just they come in already configured for the domain and everything else. It's easy to put you out. Built into. Yeah, I mean, I see we got some. Yeah, I mean, Apple does have a lot of great
I
hooks
but I think there will be
into.
a day where when this thing gets more just touch and when touch office is in place,
Hmm.
and I think there's a great chance for Surface 2 ARM-based Surface, whatever you want to call it,
Right, right.
to penetrate. I think that there's, because you're getting IT guys. IT guys are coming from the corporate office, and they're
Hmm.
they're going into those jobs down at the schools, and
Right.
to get away from the big business and big IT, and hopefully we can get some ARM-based
Yeah.
tablets in there. I think it's got a
Yeah.
little while to go, but
Yeah, I mean the other part too is that it's hard for at least some of the publishers that I work with are they're pretty small. They're being pulled in a lot of directions they're being pulled to develop for iOS, and now a lot of them know that schools are buying Chromebooks, and so they're building Chrome applications into the browser. So with RT, if are they going to develop you know the apps on that side of the equation, and that's they would have. I think it's always a catch-22. Are they going to spend the money to develop if they don't feel there's a large enough base? And I think that's what's happening is that developers are developing for iOS first, then they're developing for Android and the Chromebooks, and then they're looking at Windows, Windows 8 app. I'm not talking about full-fledged applications. I'm talking about the apps in the Microsoft Store. So I think that's what's happening. And these companies are also they're confused too as to what direction to go. I mean, I'm hoping too that Microsoft's announcement of really inexpensive Windows 8 computers. Hopefully they'll have the power coming this season. Might be something to sway schools to go with Office 365 and a Windows a Windows tablet or a Windows laptop, also in that same dollar range as a Chromebook. I think that could help, but I think Surface is still seen more as a kind of a premium product that districts would have to make a full buy-in into.
True. I'm on Twitter defending myself.
Yeah, have to provide.
I knew there would be one person.
What are they saying?
Google. Don't use Google.
Don't use Google. Yeah.
Hell yeah, we can.
I know. I mean, I use at the college where I teach. We've been using Google probably for the last 5 years, and it's worked out well. But I mean, I'm still on a Windows platform running Windows 7, so I have my the Office suite. But I do use Google Documents, Google Presentations with my students, and we do all kinds of collaborative projects, which has worked out really well. But I don't think I'd be too happy if someone took my desktop computer and replaced it with a Chromebook. I mean, I own a Chromebook. Some of the schools I work with, they're moving in that direction, so I need to be able to, I'm working with kids with disabilities, show them what's available on the Chromebook. But again, it's not my first, it would not be my computer of choice if I made the decision and was running out of the house and I needed to pick something up. I would not want that. I feel personally kind of confined using it myself, but that's just maybe it's because I'm used to using Macs and PCs and things like that.
And that's been my stance and how I signed the article off. I use it all. I use what I need for that point in time, and that may be something different. Maybe it's a different tablet. Maybe it's Amazon, for God's sake.
I had one of those too at one point.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
I mean, the other thing too is Microsoft just came out with not too long ago. It's still sort of considered preview is Office Mix, which is a plug-in to PowerPoint 2013, and for teachers that are doing the whole idea of flipped classroom, where they're creating content that they're pushing out, so kids do that at home. So when they come in, they're doing more application, more problems. It's a really nice. I mean, it's still in its infancy, but they've done a really nice job giving teachers a tool that they can create more interactive media with. Microsoft has also partnered with a number of companies like Khan Academy, CK12, where teachers can actually embed simulations right into the PowerPoint, and then they can publish it right to Microsoft's cloud, and with analytics, so teachers can not only create the content but also embed quizzes as well, and then see the results in real time. So Microsoft's doing a lot to sort of capture the imagination of K-12, and in my case even higher education. I see tremendous value as we do more online learning and create more e-learning content. So there was a big push. I was at the International Society for Technology and Education conference in Atlanta at the end of June, and Microsoft was making a big splash with Office Mix and giving away Office 365 accounts for a year to teachers that were interested in and kind of kicking the tires. So I mean they're giving teachers some really good tools at no cost, and that they can use in the classroom. It's pretty exciting technology. Your tech is your tech.
I get lost listening and reading
I know.
chat and watching Twitter. So
and the other thing too is, I mean, I know probably people in the chat have experienced it, but having the Miracast technology built into the Surface Pro 2 and 3 with Windows 8.1 is really it's actually an incredible technology, especially when if you're a business person doing a presentation, or like me, I do workshops. I could take my Surface Pro 3. I've been using the ScreenBeam Pro, and it's great. You can you just hook it up. I plug it into either the HDMI port, or I actually have the HDMI VGA converter. I can use it with any standard projector, and I don't have to worry about getting on anyone's Wi-Fi network. It's just really easy to configure. It's actually nothing to configure. I just go into the charm, say devices, project, connect to the screen beam, and off I go. And that means a lot, because I mean, oftentimes I'll if I'm doing a presentation with an iPad and I bring my Apple TV, I oftentimes, even the IT people can't get me on the Wi-Fi network because it may require, many of the schools, not only do you need the password, but there's usually a landing page that you have to go to finish the whole procedure, and they can't sort of circumvent it. So it's been it's been a problem. But with the Surface Pro 2 and the 3, using the Miracast technology, it's fantastic. And also now with the having the pen and the writing experience and using OneNote, I mean, teachers can share notebooks, students can see their teachers writing in real time and walk around the classroom as well. So I mean, it's a really nice solution for the classroom, and it's, again, fairly inexpensive at about anywhere from $65 to $99 for the ScreenBeam Pro.
Yeah, I just looked that up. Action Tech, so ScreenBeam
Yep.
Pro. I'll put that link in.
Yeah,
the show notes.
they just came out with an education edition, which has a little higher, has like a $99 price point, because it includes the HDMI to VGA dongle. So if you have older projectors that don't have HDMI, it will support it. And also it has the capability, so if your students are using Surface Pros in the classroom, it allows them to project as well, but teachers can set the security and the PIN, so when they sign on, teachers would have to give them permission and the PIN to sign on. So they just added a Pro edition of that as well.
This one, 6758. Sorry,
Right,
and you're saying it's direct connect, so no Wi-Fi, no.
Yeah, it creates its own ad hoc network. I mean, I know it's not Bluetooth. I'll just use it, but it creates its own ad hoc network between the Surface Pro 3 and the ScreenBeam receiver. So you don't need, which is great, you don't need to hop on to the companies or the school's Wi-Fi to make it work. So again, you're not using any of their bandwidth. It doesn't require any connection to an existing Wi-Fi network. It uses the Intel WiDi standard. The ScreenBeam Pro will also work with Android. I believe it's 4.2 or greater. So if you have an Android tablet as well, it will mirror that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's a really good technology.
Have you had any more experience with other Miracast devices?
Yeah, I've also used the Netgear as well, and I've had good success with that one as well. And I think one of the things with all this technology is you're constantly you need to, if you're having an issue, it's probably firmware, and there are ways to update the firmware on the receivers themselves. But I've had good success with both. I've also, I mean, for those people that travel, I don't do that much traveling, but when I do go to conferences, I usually take the Miracast receiver with me, and this way I can watch videos, HBO on the the large HDMI screen in my hotel room, and it's worked great as well. So I've used the Netgear. What's it called? I think it's Push to TV 3000 edition. Also about the size of a small credit card. They're pretty small. They're pretty small. The Netgear doesn't come with the HDMI VGA, and I'm not sure if I tested it out on that. I have tested out the Surface Pro 2 and the with the VGA connector, and that has worked. And I've also used it with the Dell Venue Pro 8, and I've had good success with that as well. So It seems to work. I know some people sometimes. I mean, occasionally you might get some little bumps with buffering of videos, but if you're writing notes and showing, YouTube, it's generally it's fine. It really is. But again, it's the fact that you don't need IT to help you configure it, or I mean,
Sure.
it's really a nice feature when you're presenting. And the trend is also a lot of the OEM manufacturers of projectors are now beginning to build Miracast right into the hardware itself. So I think Dell has started to do it, but I think in the next 6 months you're going to see a lot of projectors coming out with the Miracast technology built in, as well as Pico projectors for that matter with Miracast built in. So everyone is seeing the value of that. And again, pretty incredible. You go with the Pico projector, and your Surface Pro 3, and you're ready to take over the world with your presentation. It's pretty amazing.
Is this something that can move out of the classroom and move into the living room fairly easy if
Oh
you want to
yes, yeah.
catch
I
a
mean,
TV show?
let's. Oh yeah. Let me see if I could see how big my. Let's,
All right. I looked at the Netgear. The Netgear is called the Push to TV Wireless
yes. So
Display.
this is.
It's only
So
$50.
this is. Yeah. So this is the. I don't know if you can see it. That's
Oh,
the.
that's smaller than.
It's pretty small. It's pretty small. So that's the screen beam, and then it comes with this little dongle, and so you just connect.
Let me see the ports on that.
So this is the VGA on this side, and then the HDMI on this side. So if I was plugging in, at the college we don't have the latest projectors, so I can just plug the VGA on this end here, and then I'm good to go. So it has the power. It does need power, and that's pretty much it. So VGA, power, and then I'm ready to go. I just sweep in from the charms, go to devices, project, and then it'll say Action Tech with the serial number, and then it connects, and then I'm good to go. On first connection, it does ask for a PIN number for security, which is not a big deal. But after that, it just sees it, and then you're good to go. So that's pretty much that one. And then the Netgear. Hold on. Let's see if I can get that.
We caught him. We picked a topic. We got him off guard. This is something that we've been talking about forever. People are saying, does it Miracast? Will it Miracast? And now you can even do it with Windows phones. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. So this is you should be able to. Yeah. This is the Netgear. It's actually it's a little bit different dimension, but that's the.
All I see is me. Hi.
Can you see it?
Wow. That is
it's
small.
Pretty small. And again, it comes with power and a HDMI cable, and that's the deal. Again, if you're having any kind of problems, it doesn't make a difference with the screen beam or the Netgear. Check, because the companies are constantly updating the firmware for these devices. So, as an example, if you have an older screen beam and it may not, you're having trouble with the VGA connector, I would just check, because they recently updated the firmware to support that HDMI to VGA connector.
Okay.
It's I don't know if anyone is using it in their offices, but certainly in the classroom it's a tremendous technology, especially for working. I work in a small college, and I mean we have good support, but they're not always available when you're teaching, and so it's nice that it's sort of you don't really have to spend that much time with configuration. So that's the really nice part.
I think I like even though it's $17 more, I think I like the fact that you've got that VGA option.
Correct.
If you needed it, if you got stuck in a
Correct.
conference room or a classroom that had an
Right.
oldie moldy projector,
Yeah.
man, you've got it covered.
Right. And remember too, Dave, you could also plug this into an HDMI monitor, so you have that as an option as well. So if you go into a conference room that has an HDMI monitor that supports HDMI, you can use it that way as well.
Right.
So
Those links will be in the show notes I think
Great.
everybody should buy one so we can all play.
Oh, it says HDMI to VGA shouldn't exist. I
Okay.
agree, but
Yeah,
but the
absolutely.
reality is there's lots of legacy projectors out there. Let me tell you. Let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah, no, I hate to agree with that, but no, I do
know,
agree with that.
I know, but we're getting there. I just wonder, is anyone in the chat room, if anyone has used the ScreenBeam or Netgear, to shout out and know what your experience has been.
Yeah, and what we'll do is this podcast will have a post in the forums, and
Great.
so surfacegeeks.net/forums. You go there, and you can put your comments in.
I see. Yeah. So for sound, HDMI supports both video and sound. With VGA, there is on the dongle itself. There's an output to plug into the audio source. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good. They're on top of their game tonight.
Oh, the chat room will keep us honest all night long. I could just sit here and have a argument with chat, and they'd be like, "No, it's this, Dave. Oh, you got that wrong, Dave. No, here it is, Dave." No, I love the chat room, and you guys watching on YouTube, feel free to join us. After I announce this thing, hopefully it's going to be every other Wednesday. We've got a chat room where you don't have to sign in. You just pick a username, jump on, bam, you're chatting with whoever I'm talking with this week. So
that's good.
Brian Friedlander, Surface MVP, freshly minted Surface MVP.
Yeah, it's good. It's been fun. I'm hoping to get out to that summit in November. Hope to be able to meet you there. I'm planning on being there. So it sounds. I mean, from your experience, sounds like it's something not to be missed.
Well, if they don't pull my credentials after this Surface Pro 3 thing, I will be there. I will be there.
I think they're going to build you a Surface Pro 4. That's what I think they're going to do.
Please.
On a silver platter.
I want a thick one with a big fan in it. I can do noise cancellation on the mic. I need
one that comes with antifreeze, and you have to do every 6 month changes. Is that?
Well, so I'll end the podcast on this note. I pre-ordered a dock as soon as I could. The Surface Pro 3 dock. I pre-ordered it, so my $200 is already out there. I have not canceled it.
Ooh, that's good.
Cancel it.
All right. Okay.
There's
hope. There's hope.
I honestly think that I can figure out a way. I think the Core i3, even though it's 4 gigs of RAM and 64, I don't like the 64, but I think that might be my little tote-around device, my laptop/tablet combination, and I think I'll be a happy camper because I miss it right now. I am completely lost without that thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the dock comes, but even before that, I mean, it's sort of become my replacement. I have a Dell, like a 3-year-old Dell XPS, and I hardly ever go to it anymore. I mean, this is my go-to machine at this point in time.
Yeah, I've got a Dell Pro 11, whatever. Dell Venue Pro 11 with a keyboard for sale. So I'm just waiting for someone to send me an offer, and it's gone. Just send me an offer, it's gone. So, all right, Brian.
Sounds good.
Chatting with us.
This was great, and enjoy it. We'll have to do it again, and see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Check the show notes for the post, guys. Brian Friedlander can be found on Twitter. He is Assistive Tech, and that'll be in the show notes as well. You'll want to follow him.
Great.
You want to follow Twitter. You want to follow Surface Geeks on Twitter, and definitely want to see you in the forums. Good night, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey, it was great. That was a lot of fun.
Right. Audio off, video still on for everybody.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right.
Right at 1 hour, so I did good.
You did real good. Excellent.
So everybody out there in chat, I don't want to derail the fun, but I will. I'm going to reboot and start over at HomeServerShow.com. This is the OnePlus. Is it a OnePlus One? CyanogenMod Android phone. I'm going to review/compare this phone. A lot of people have been asking. There's not a lot
Huh.
of these phones out in the wild, so a lot of people that pay attention to this show and the Home Server Show have been asking for this comparison. So
Wow, interesting. Are you a Windows phone user as well?
yeah, every other month or so.
Well, it depends on the flavor of the month, huh?
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right.
I'm all over the place. You can't call me an X user. You can't call me. I use this because I
Right.
I use it all. I do.
Uh,
I use everything.
I know. I understand. I understand. It's harder for me to since I have Verizon to jump in and out all over the place. But if I could, I probably would.
I am Verizon
Especially
as well, and I find that
yeah,
limitation just mind-blowingly
yeah.
difficult. It
I
just
know.
drives
I
me
know.
crazy.
I know. So I'm waiting for the iPhone 6 to come out. I still am using a 4S. I mean, I would be tempted to use a Windows phone, but I mean, so much of my so much of that infrastructure that I use is iOS based. A lot of it, so it's kind of hard to move away from that.
Well, I'm sorry,
I
4S.
know.
Yeah.
The 4S. I know. I know. What can
We
I
won't give
tell
you
you?
we won't give you a hard time.
That's all right.
Just because. I
Who
can't give you a
knows?
hard time because everybody gives me a hard time because I'll get a Windows phone and then I'll sell it. I'll get a Windows phone and I'll sell it.
God,
So
yeah. But doesn't it take you a lot of time to kind of kind of get back up and running and import contacts and apps?
that's
No,
that's the
no,
part.
not
That's the part that's just so easy these days.
well on the Windows side. I guess on the Mac side. I mean, it was pretty incredible. I mean, going from the 2 to the 3, I just said, basically, make a clone of of the 2 to the 3, and I guess 10, 15 minutes later, everything was built.
Yeah,
I mean, it was pretty
it's
pretty
all in the
amazing.
cloud now. Your
I know,
contact, everything. It's all
I
out
know,
there.
I know.
So
But that's it. All right, good. Well, it was great chatting, and I'm off to Canada tomorrow to do some fishing with my buddies. And
good,
yeah, so it should be fun. So I may have some good fish stories to tell.
good,
Hopefully.
absolutely. I am off to next week. I'm going to Gettysburg. So
Wow, so you could be in my neck of the woods, not too far.
yeah, so we'll be
Not
over
too
there.
far. Good. All right, have a great time and
You too. Thanks
relax
for
and be good.
talking with us. Okay, chat room. We're going to see you over at go to homeservershow.com. I will load up a new Hangout, and we're going to review the OnePlus One.
Have a good
And
evening, everyone. Take care. Bye.
good night, guys.